What's up, everyone? This is Roxy Fireway Follow Your Mom, and today we are going to have a mid-year to end of year homeschool update. How am I doing in my first year of homeschool? What happened? Did I use all of that curriculum? Did I get everything done? Did I change my curriculum? What did I do and how did it go? Well, I'm going to give you guys an update as to how I'm doing so far, so stay tuned.
Can't you see that when we let go, we'll be free? So forget the fear, come out of hiding, breathe in the air. We are deciding now. Let's get carried away, yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome to Fireway Follow Your Mom. Thank you so much for watching this video. And I created this channel to be able to show you guys what I am doing in my organization, in family life, in mom life, but also I have been trying to document and to share with you all my first year of homeschool. And I'm just so excited to share with you how it has been going so far. What has happened? You know, how did everything go? How did everything that I planned play out in reality? So I'm going to show you guys all of that today. Interested in watching more videos, definitely hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you could be notified when I post more videos. I'm actually starting the process of planning my next homeschool year, which is so exciting because yes, guys, I survived my first year, almost there, almost at the end of the line, at the finish line. But I am going to be planning on continuing to homeschool. So I'm so excited about that. But I'm going to be showing you guys some videos in the next few weeks that are going to take you guys through how I plan my homeschool year in advance. Now, as you all know, I am a very busy working mom. And so I have to plan my homeschool year in advance because I don't really have a lot of time to be doing a lot of lesson planning and planning out throughout the year. And so I'm going to take you guys soup to nuts, exactly how I plan the entire homeschool year, how I brainstorm, how I find curriculum, what I do, what resources I use to give me the best curriculum that's out there, and what I do. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely you're going to want to subscribe to my channel so that I can share with all of you, whether or not you are a new homeschooler, someone who's thinking about homeschooling, or you've homeschooled for years and maybe want a more streamlined approach. Definitely, I hope that I can be a good resource for you. Now, this video is probably going to be a two-parter because I don't want to make it too long, and I do have a lot to say about what curriculum we used, whether it worked or not, and also just to give you guys an idea of how my first homeschool year went and what my expectations were and where did I not really meet those expectations, or whether or not what I expected homeschooling to be was actually going to be the reality. So I plan on sharing a lot with you guys today. So before we do all of that, I'm going to go through each of my children's grade levels so that you guys can see what we did. So if you don't know what curriculum I used, I will be linking in the description box below my homeschool curriculum video for the 2020-2021 school year. And believe it or not, this video has had over 9,000 views, which, I mean, I couldn't even imagine in the world that over 9,000 people would sit and watch my video of my curriculum, but apparently it was very, very exciting for people. And I'm just so blessed that a lot of people were blessed themselves with my ideas. So if you want to know what curriculum I used, follow the video that is going to be linked so that you can see what I used. But I'm going to be, the way this is going to work is I'm going to go through my first daughters and I'm going to put in the corner what the book it is that I'm talking about. And so you guys can get an idea of that video that I did before plus my update today. So you're going to see that picture in the corner. And then I'm going to talk about it and talk about what happened and what worked and what didn't. So let's first start with my first daughter, who is 6 years old, and she is in kindergarten. So she started kindergarten and we are almost finished, but let's start with hers first. Now, my younger daughter is a very kinesthetic learner. She is somebody who is very hands-on. She likes to see things physically, touch them, feel them, kind of likes to use manipulatives. I do a lot of centers with her to reinforce concepts that I teach with her. And so I spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours one-on-one with her a day, give or take. Sometimes we'll spend a little more, sometimes a little less. But we pretty much spend about 2 hours or so going over our work for the day. So she's a very hands-on learner. She doesn't like the workbook pages. She'll do them, but she has to take breaks. My daughter, if some of you don't know, she has epilepsy, and so she is on medications that affect her ability to focus. So imagine having somebody who is like a little bit ADHD. That's kind of what she is. She has some issues with focus, attention, and her memory. And so we really have to reinforce a lot of concepts over and over again. And she really cannot just do something independently for the most part. Still, I still kind of have to oversee her, watch her, make sure that she's doing things properly. So just so you guys get an idea of the type of learner that she is. Very different than my older daughter, who is very, very independent, gets concepts very quickly. So I do have two different children who have different challenges, different things that require my attention for their learning. So let's go through our reading curriculum. So for my reading curriculum, I chose Alpha Phonics, and I purchased Alpha Phonics, Phonics Pathways, the reading lesson, Teach Your Child to Read in 20 Easy Lessons, and I also purchased Bob Books readers, okay? And then I incorporated a lot of other things from Teacher Pay Teachers. I did a lot of read in sequence with her so that she could understand when she's reading a story what happens first, second, next, and last. So we did incorporate a lot of that as well. But to tell you, out of the 3 books that I purchased, the one that we kind of stuck with was Alpha Phonics. I absolutely love Alpha Phonics. It worked beautifully with my daughter. They are very short and to the point, easy lessons where it's one page that we did every day, and it's one lesson. It's usually about half a page long. And the only thing is I expected to be done with this book by this year, but we didn't finish. We probably have gotten like halfway, just because there were some lessons that we kind of had to do them over again. But I really love Alpha Phonics as a reading program. I think it's very comprehensive. I thought it was, it's so comprehensive, so easy. And it literally, if they finish the book, from what it says, they should be reading at a 3rd grade level. So we're still kind of halfway through, which kind of makes sense that we would be there at that point now that she's entering into 1st grade next year. But I really loved Alpha Phonics, and we kind of stuck with it. The reading lesson and the phonics pathways didn't really like these programs. I don't know. They were not very friendly. Like the phonics pathways was kind of slow. I wasn't really a big fan of it. So we mainly stuck with the Alpha Phonics, reading Bob books, the read in sequence. We did also do Jady Alvarez's sight word program. I recommend this 300%. It is an amazing sight word program. It's 5 words every week that they learn, they memorize with worksheets, but also with flashcards, and you buy like a little sentence, those little trifold boards, and you get 5 words every single week, and you go week by week, and you build more sight words and more sight words. I found that program for my daughter, who is probably, I would say, more of a slower to kind of understand reader. She's a little bit, it takes her a little longer, more challenging for her to read. She's not, a natural, amazing reader. She just does have to work at it. I found this program to be very gentle, very awesome, very amazing. I can't even say enough about it. I will link that reading program in the description box. But we pretty much just used those, and we would kind of interchange. So like Monday, Wednesday, we would do Alpha Phonics. Tuesday, Thursday, we would do, we would read our Bob books. We would kind of interchange things to change it up, since my daughter kind of likes that, changing things up a little bit so that things feel fresh and new. So that's what we used for reading. That's what I found was successful. And as you guys know, this is one of the things I've learned with homeschool curriculum. And that's something that if it's for your first year, what you need to understand is that you've got to be open to adjusting. You've got to be open to changing curriculum if you need to, because sometimes it's just not going to work for your child, even though the reviews say it will work, even though you have a friend that said it worked for their child. It doesn't matter. And so you've got to be willing, and this is one of the lessons I learned about homeschooling, to be flexible and to be really fine-tuned to your child's needs so that you are able to adjust so that you can be more effective in your teaching and in their learning. And you want to be effective. So that was my main concern, that I wanted to make sure that I was constantly evaluating and reevaluating and seeing what worked and what didn't. So that was pretty much what we used for reading. Now, for logic and critical thinking, I really loved the Mind Benders program. The Can You Find Me that I had, which I'm going to show you guys here, I didn't really like it too much. The poems were a little bit complicated for kindergarten, I felt, so I wasn't really that happy about it. We kind of did a couple and then we just kind of let it go. But the Mind Benders was great. They're little puzzles and they really make the kids think about, what, let's say there's 3 people and there's 3 hats and they give you some clues and you have to guess whose hat is which person. So it was really cool, and I think it helped with those logic skills. I think logic is a really, really important skill for children to learn at an early age, and so I incorporate that into my homeschool. Another thing I found was super awesome, Jady Alvarez's logic games. I will link it below. She has them in Teachers Pay Teachers. Jady Alvarez is one of my homeschool gurus that I really love I love watching her videos. She's a YouTuber. She also makes her own preschool curriculum. She's wonderful. She's got a classical approach, very gentle approach, and I really love her recommendations. And I'll do a separate video on my recommendations once I get into planning my next year. But that's what we use. For math, we used mathematical reasoning. Love it, recommend it very highly. My daughter did great on it. Asks them a lot of different questions, goes over a lot of different math concepts in fun little games. We would do about 2 pages every twice a week. We would do 2 pages, and she really loved it. She would beg, Mom, I want to do math reasoning. So it was really cool, and I loved that one. Spectrum Math, we used the Spectrum Math workbook this year. We also used a Critical Thinking for Math, which is also by the Spectrum company. And I found that these were great workbooks, but what I didn't like about them was it wasn't giving you a comprehensive math curriculum. So in the workbooks, it doesn't give you a lesson plan. It doesn't tell you how to teach the concept to the child. It's literally just worksheets in a workbook that have all of the math concepts for kindergarten. And so I would use them as practice pages, but what I ended up doing was using the Moffat Girls kindergarten math program. Absolutely recommended 100%. It was a great program. I will link it. She is a Teacher Pay Teacher resource on she is an amazing resource on Teachers Pay Teachers. She does these little math, math made fun, she calls them, curriculum where she has all these different concepts. She actually hits the state standards in all of her curriculum. She gives you a list of the standards that are met in her curriculum. Very, very great program. It incorporates centers, which I absolutely love for my kinesthetic learner. And it has really great lesson plans that are very easy to follow. So even though for me, because I'm not a natural math teacher, it was hard for me to explain even simple concepts I know how to do it, right? But how do I explain it to somebody else in a very simple way that doesn't understand? For example, addition, I had to explain to her how this, we have 3 objects here and 2 objects here, and we put them together, and how to count on instead of counting each one. So I found that the Moffat Girls program. So we really stuck with the Moffat Girls math. We did math reasoning. We did some Math Start readers, which are little math book readers, which we loved also. We did those all the time. And we did the spectrum math and the critical thinking math more so just as reinforcement worksheets. But we really didn't finish. We were still not even done with all of them. But we were able to kind of incorporate those in. But it was, when I tell you that Spectrum, although they have great math worksheets and workbooks, they are not a comprehensive curriculum. So if you're somebody who it's your first homeschool year and you don't really know how to teach math, it's not really going to be very helpful for you. Now, for writing, we used Handwriting Without Tears and Writing Our Catholic Faith. Loved Handwriting Without Tears. We haven't gotten into Writing Our Catholic Faith yet. We are going to actually be starting it next week. But as far as Handwriting Without Tears, I absolutely loved them. Why? Because this book really taught handwriting in such an easy way, the natural way that children move their hands when they are writing. It is a wonderful program and I recommend it 100%. We did do for writing, we started the year in kindergarten with writing our name every single day, first name and last name. Really spent half the year just doing that. Why? Because I really believe that children at kindergarten age should master writing their name, not only correctly, but they should be writing all of their letters, in the same line straight. They should be writing their letters in the same size. So we really wanted to focus on getting her to write her name beautifully. That was a big challenge for her in preschool. And so we really worked on that a long time. Once we were feeling like she was mastering the writing of the name, we moved on to sentences. So we used a handwriting practice from Miss Faleena, who is also Teacher Pay Teachers. Now again, that was one of the things I didn't expect. I didn't expect to use as much Teacher Pay Teacher resources as I did. But I find that Teachers Pay Teachers for the younger grades, like kindergarten, first grade, preschool, even, have great resources. I mean, they are wonderful, amazing people there that are doing some pretty cool things with learning. And so we kind of gravitated towards that because my daughter really felt like she benefited with all of the hands-on and all of the centers and that stuff. So we did the Handwriting Without Tears, loved that. The Lakeshore Draw and Write Journal is something that we kind of lagged on. We really didn't finish it. We didn't really do much of it. The Draw Right Now series also, we just didn't have time to get it done, but I'm going to be definitely saving those kinds of things for the summer. Now for our unit study, for our art, all of those family subjects that we do, I will kind of do a separate video on my reviews for that. Again, that's why this is not going to be a one-parter. It's going to be like a two-parter, three-parter. Just making sure that I'm not leaving anything out. So that's pretty much it for my kindergartner reading, critical thinking, math, and writing. I really tried to focus on the core with her. I didn't really go into a lot of the grammatical things. We kind of went through nouns, we went through singular and plural as far as grammar is concerned, but we didn't really get into, really learning about the verbs, and we did a little bit of verb and noun, we did a little bit of suffixes, but I really wanted to focus on the core, on the reading, on the writing, and on the math. And I figured those other concepts like the grammatical and the parts of speech and all those, we are really going to focus on now in first grade. But I wanted her to have this really strong core of reading, writing, and math because I find that that is the foundation to everything. And so that's what we really focused on, a lot of the reading and the writing and the math. So that's it for my kindergartner. Now for my third grader, just to give you a little information, she's 9 years old. She started at 8 when we started the homeschool year. She was still 8, but we went through a lot of curriculum. And she is more of an independent learner. She's somebody who, I could kind of just teach her a lesson. She goes off running. Most of the time she does very well on her own. She teaches herself a lot, but I do have to, sometimes there are concepts that take her a little bit longer, but it's not very often that I struggle teaching her. And we would have every single day a morning meeting where we go over the lessons for the day, and then she spends probably 2 or 3 hours doing her work independently. So that's just a little idea of how we did our day-to-day school year. So for her morning worksheet, I used a lot of teacher pay teacher resources for those. And I can show you guys that in my description box if you guys really want to see that. We also did logic and critical thinking. Again, I think it's so important. I am a lawyer by trade, and so logic and critical thinking is something that is so huge in our career. Part of the LSAT that we had to take to get into law school had to do with logic, critical thinking kind of skills. So I love that. And for me, I think it's so important, not just if, I don't think my kids are going to be lawyers or anything, but it's important to have those kinds of skills. And so we used building thinking skills, puzzles and games that make kids think, and we used word searches. And so those were all things that I interchanged every day. She did one little page of each. We pretty much got through those workbooks, and she really loved the logic and critical thinking. One thing she started to get into, because they were in the logic books, was Sudoku. She absolutely loves it, and I think it's so great for the mind, and she's really grown to love. So now I have bought her just books on Sudoku because she loves them. She loves doing them. For handwriting, we did Zehner Blosser and Writing Our Catholic Faith, and the reason why I did 2 of them was because Writing Our Catholic Faith, I wanted to incorporate our faith. We are a Catholic family. But Zehner Blosser also does printing. And so I want my children to, even though she's in 3rd grade, she knows how to print, she knows how to write cursive. I don't want her to lose either concept. So what we did is we used Writing Our Catholic Faith one day, Zehner Blosser the other day, and we just switched back and forth from that. So she got a little bit of printing and a little bit of handwriting. Handwriting for me, not only is it important that they learn how to write well in handwriting, but I liked it because of the copy work. A lot of these the Zehner Blosser and the Writing Our Catholic Faith had a lot of copy work, which I think is so important. I know this is like a classical style of education type of thing, but I do believe in it. I think it teaches them a lot of spelling within that. When they're copying, they're learning how things are spelled, they're learning how sentences are structured, they're learning how commas and periods and all those kinds of things are being used, quotation marks, all that stuff. So I really love those 2 programs for that. For math, we went with Saxon Math, and we absolutely loved Saxon Math. It is such a strong math curriculum. There are other curriculums out there, I know, but for me, I felt like Saxon, just the fact that it had the scripts of me being able to read the script and know that I was teaching her, because math is not my super strongest subject, but I wanted to be able to teach her, and Saxon really helped with that because I didn't really have to think too much. I just kind of read through the script before the lesson, and I was able to explain the concept and even teach myself, don't tell my daughter this, even teach myself some of the math concepts as I was reading it to her, which I'm sure this has happened to many homeschool moms. So we used the Saxon Math program as our spine. We did that all of the time. And then also I found that she struggled a lot in some of the multiplication facts and some of the division facts. So we supplemented with the Moffat Girls. Again, I love the Moffat Girls. They have a 3rd grade math made fun. And so what I did was with the Saxon Math, because the Saxon Math is very comprehensive and it's a spiral program. So it goes through these concepts, but then it changes to a different concept and then it circles back around. So it's considered a spiral program. So I wanted her to have something that was more comprehensive when it came to multiplication and division. I just wanted her to really, and place value, I really wanted her to master those concepts. So Moffat Girls really helped me with that because it incorporates centers, which is a big change for her, that she's able to kind of do a little bit more hands-on learning, and also really great worksheets that were super fun to do. So we kind of did the Saxon as our spine, which I recommend and I'm going to be using next year for sure, because I looked into teaching textbooks and I saw some of the reviews on that, and that was the other program that I was thinking about, because I do want her to be more independent in her learning. But sometimes some of the reviews on teaching textbooks is that if children are very quick learners, they can kind of feel bored, or they can kind of fall behind also if they don't understand, and it kind of moves on to the next thing. So I I think I'm just going to stick with the Saxon because I know that they are teaching kind of in the same format and way as the public schools are teaching, which at the end of the day, for the core subjects, I do want her to be on par with other students that are going to school. So sticking with Saxon, loved it. I used a lot of Khan Academy to help reinforce some concepts. They are great also. I have the addition facts that stick, multiplication facts, subtraction, and division facts. I bought all of them, the whole series. Haven't really used them. I started to use them a little bit at the beginning of the year, but I found that it was a lot of these games and things that, I don't know, it kind of went a little slow for me. And I didn't really like it was an extra lesson to do, and it was kind of, too much. So I kind of dropped that, and I just stuck with the Moffat Girls and the Saxon. That's what I ended up doing. We did do math reasoning for a little bit also, but I kind of let that go as well because it was just getting to be too much, and I wanted her, again, this is what happens in homeschooling. You have to be able to adjust, and you want to be able to, we only get a certain amount of time to teach them. We can't teach them all day, right? So you want to make sure that when you are doing your lessons, when they are learning, that it's the most efficient and effective learning method and way that they're absorbing the information. So for language arts, we used Plaid Phonics, and we used First Language Lessons. I absolutely love both of these programs. We did great with them. They are amazing. First Language Lessons taught my daughter so much about grammar, parts of speech. Love it, love it, love it. Would recommend it highly. We used 240 vocabulary words. We used Scholastic Grammar. We used Spelling UC and Writing with Ease. We used all of those programs. We still use them. I divided them obviously into different days, so we weren't doing all of that in one day. We would do Writing with Ease 2 days a week. We would do First Language Lessons 2 days a week, Grammar 2 days a week also, and kind of interchange those. So that we absolutely love. I think I'm going to be using those programs next year. Now, the only thing with Spelling UC that I found was the paragraphs do get long towards the end of the book. So with the dictation part, there is a piece where you have a dictation, like towards the last two lessons of the last 2 pages of every lesson, you actually dictate the paragraph that they have been charting and learning and the spellings and all that. So those were a little tedious. My daughter did get a little bit frustrated towards the end, like, I don't want to have to write this super long paragraph. So we kind of stuck through it. She's a trooper, of course, so she really helped me to get through it. But if you have a child that kind of doesn't want to sit and write, this may not be a good program, or you may need to split up the lessons and maybe split the paragraphs up. But it is a great program. It taught them a lot about the little common mistakes that people make with spelling, the silent E's, all of the silent letters. So it really is comprehensive, very, very good. I recommend the program 100%. Plaid Phonics is great, love it. It's a lot of the concepts were very easy to my daughter. Again, she's an advanced reader. She's advanced with language arts. That's like her strong suit. The Writing with Ease, I absolutely loved, mainly because we were able to dive into a lot of the old literature that seems to be so dead now in our society. We were able to look at Peter Rabbit and Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer and all these kinds of, old, we talked about Pollyanna. So Writing with Ease is a great program just because it helps them not only to learn how to write, but I probably am going to I might be switching to IEW next year. I do want to have more of an approach where she's kind of writing on her own, not so much copying and dictating. I think I want to kind of open her doors up a little bit so that she can kind of learn a little bit more about writing on her own. So I do want to kind of cut the umbilical cord on the writing program. So I might go to IEW, but I'm still figuring that out, and I will let you guys know at the end. For reading, we really didn't have a specific reading program for 3rd grade. Again, my daughter reads at probably a junior high to high school level. She is a very avid reader. Her reading program is she reads 20 minutes a day, and she doesn't only just read 20 minutes a day. She reads books, she reads encyclopedias. I mean, she has absolutely no issues with reading at all. So I really didn't purchase a reading program for her. Other things that she did was we would do on Fridays, we would do a writing, like free write kind of thing, and she did do her we worked with 500 writing prompts, which is a wonderful book. I will link it in the description box below, where it asks a question and provokes a writing prompt for them to be able to express themselves. So for example, it says, if you had the entire day to choose whatever you wanted to do, what would you do? Or if you could travel to a magical land, what would you travel to? Love that. Really helped to reinforce the skills, and we would do them on Fridays. Fridays for me were more of a, we didn't do as much of the core subjects. We kind of stuck to the family subjects. We had that on a loop schedule. So this was her chance to really get that writing, that creative writing in her curriculum. So I thought that was awesome, and that's pretty much it. Both of my children have definitely advanced. They've done great. My younger daughter, I've seen so much growth in my kindergartner and my third grader, and so it's been good. Some of the things we didn't really get to that I wanted to get to was Spanish. We didn't really get to do much Spanish curriculum. We are Spanish speakers. It's just been really difficult to get that in. But that's pretty much it. That's our curriculum review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully this was a good, resource for you for when you're choosing curriculum for next year. But definitely what I have learned in my first homeschool year is to take it easy, to not be stressed that they're gonna learn what they need to learn. And that's kind of been my main lesson. And again, adjusting curriculum if needed, adjusting learning style if needed is so important. All right, everyone. So if you loved this video, please hit the like button and definitely share it if you have anyone that you know that wants to get an idea of what third grade and kindergarten curriculum would be like actually using it. I have had a wonderful first year of homeschool. I can't wait for my next year. And definitely hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.